Wooden roller coasters have been around for over 100 years now, and these are definitely some really good coasters. Obviously the ones over 100 years ago are really rough and old now, and they weren't very tall or fast. But yes, obviously as the time went on, and especially since 2000, these coasters have started inversions, they've had 90-degree drops. So yes, today I'm going to be counting down the top 10 tallest wooden roller coasters in the world. Coming in at number 10, the Boss at Six Flags St. Louis, and also Shivering Timbers at Michigan's Adventure. So yes, these are actually both at 122 feet. But the Boss is more actually focused on speed. So yeah, obviously, like, it does have a little bit of airtime, but it's more focused on how you're going to fly through the woods and stuff like that. Because this is actually really cool, because this is actually set right next to the woods. So you start with a huge drop, and then you go around a couple of turns, and then you go and fly through the woods with a couple of airtime moments, a couple of turns, and then you go into the breaks. But it doesn't have incredible theming, and they definitely do take like the hillside to advantage and stuff like that. And another ride with not that good theming is actually Shivering Timbers, and this is just actually on a massive field. But yeah, this is actually more focused on airtime and the views you get from the top of the lift hill. So yeah, this does have like 7 or 8 camelbacks or something like that, and yeah, obviously it does have a turnaround at the end. So this is basically just like an out and back layout, and it still looks good, but I think the Boss will probably be a superior coaster to this one. But yeah, they both look great coasters. Coming in at number 9 is American Eagle at Six Flags Great America, and yeah, this is actually the only dueling coaster on this list. But this obviously does have the red side and the blue side, and it does look a little bit rough at the moment, but some people say it's actually awesome how it's rough, because it actually gives it that really nice vintage feel of an old wooden coaster. But yeah, others say this should actually get the RMC treatment. Obviously there is actually another coaster in the park which is an RMC that I will be talking about a little bit later in this video. But yes, this coaster, personally, I'd rather them just like get new trains for it and stuff like that, because this coaster does actually look pretty good, and this is actually really tall. This was actually built quite a long time ago as well, so I'm still surprised it's actually still standing. And this coaster is actually focused on more speed like the Boss than actual airtime like Shivering Timbers. So this is actually more focused on speed. So yeah, as you go around the turns, you do pick up quite a lot of speed, and obviously you got these huge helixes like right at the end of the ride and stuff like that. But yeah, obviously like the speed on there is probably not very good. But yeah, obviously this is more of like a dueling aspect. This is pretty much the whole point of this ride, that you duel. But hopefully Six Flags actually runs this dueling, because I know when I went to Twisted Colossus, which is actually a hybrid coaster, it wasn't actually dueling. But I really do hope they start dueling the coasters a little bit more. But yeah, if they do duel this would be an incredible coaster, and this would definitely be one of the best coasters at Six Flags Great America. Coming in at number 8 is Monster at La Ronde. Yes, this is the first Canadian park on this list, and this is actually located at one of the worst Six Flags parks. A lot of people say it's not a very good park. I haven't actually been there myself, so I can't really judge it or anything like that. But yeah, this coaster really does stand up really nicely at the edge of the park. Yeah, so this coaster is a really picturesque coaster, but unfortunately it doesn't look very good. Personally, I think it looks very simple and basic. A lot of people actually, I'm not really sure what they say about it. I haven't really watched many reviews on Monster, because it's not really a coaster that you hear about often, and usually it is actually closed. So if Six Flags can actually get this running a little bit more, it will be amazing. But yeah, this just doesn't look incredible. But yeah, this is one of these coasters that could be absolutely amazing as an RMC, because this could just like be so much taller and stuff like that. It could really good standout coaster if it does get converted. But if it doesn't, it'll just stand there. But it doesn't really like appeal to me, to be honest. But yeah, if you have actually been on this, make sure to leave a comment down below of how you have felt on this coaster, if it's good or bad, because I don't really know, to be honest. It just doesn't look amazing. But yeah, that is Monster at La Ronde. Coming in at number 7 is Woden Timber Coaster at Europa Park. Yes, this is actually where we get onto the good coasters. Woden Timber Coaster is actually built by GCI, and this looks like one of their best creations yet. This actually interacts with loads of different rides at Europa Park. It's apparently meant to be the best coaster at Europa Park, but obviously I can't really say because I haven't actually been there before. But this actually does interact with their Mack launch coaster, which is actually called Blue Fire, and this was the first ever Mack launch coaster. And these both coasters interact with each other, and this looks amazing. Also, it goes and flies through the station. The speed looks absolutely mental on this as well. It looks like you get enough airtime, and it just looks like an overall amazing attraction. And might I say, the queue line as well looks absolutely insane. But obviously I won't give any spoilers with that, but the coaster overall looks absolutely incredible. Coming in at number 6 is one of the most unique coasters in the world, and this is Hades 360, and this is actually located at Mount Olympus. And yes, this actually, the reason why this is so unique is because this actually goes up a massive lift hill and then it drops you straight down under the car park. And yeah, this is meant to be sort of like the underground. So yeah, this is actually very, very well themed into this coaster. But yeah, you sort of drop through there in pitch darkness and you've got loads of steep turns. It does actually have a 90-degree turn as well, and this is actually one of the first ever coasters with actually an inversion on a wooden coaster. And yes, this is actually why it's called Hades 360. Originally, this was actually just called Hades, but then the Gravity Group actually took on the challenge of making this a Gravity Group roller coaster, and obviously putting in that massive corkscrew. But yeah, obviously now this coaster looks so much better. It does actually have some awesome trains as well, and yeah, this looks absolutely amazing, and I would love to get up to this park one day to ride Hades 360. Coming in at number 5 is one of my most bucket list roller coasters, and this is the Voyage Holiday World. A lot of people call this the best roller coaster ever built, and this looks insane, especially if you get that trimless night ride on Hollywood nights. But yeah, even if you don't get that trimless night ride, this still looks insane. Basically, you got this huge lift hill, nearly 200 feet tall, and yet then you go drop straight down into loads of different steep turns, and then you go up into loads of airtime hills. It just looks like an absolutely incredible coaster. You do actually pass through Thunderbird as well, which is their B&M wing coaster at the park, and yet this coaster just looks insane, especially how you fly through the woods as well. I would love to get on this one day, as especially as well, this is actually one of the longest coasters in the world, and I think it is actually the longest wooden coaster in the world as well. This just looks an incredible coaster. I would love to get out to Holiday World one day to ride this. Coming in at number 4 is the first Intamin prefabricated wooden roller coaster on this list, and this is Colossus at Hyde Park. Yes, this coaster was actually the first ever Intamin prefabricated coaster, and this looks insane. It looks like you've got so much airtime. The lift is really fast. You have a nice like 90-degree turnaround, I think it is, and then you go down this like really steep drop. I believe it's about 60 to 70 degrees drop, and yeah, this looks absolutely amazing. Then you go up into loads of airtime hills, you got loads of turns, you got a massive helix halfway through the ride, and then obviously a couple of years ago they did actually retheme this as well with adding in a massive statue, and you actually go and fly through this now, and then this coaster just looks like one of the best coasters in the world. Unfortunately, I haven't experienced it yet, but I would love to, and this is definitely right near the top of my bucket list to get on this coaster one day. And it doesn't actually look the best Intamin prefabricated coaster, and there is actually a couple more that are actually on this list, so yeah, that will actually be coming on later in this video. But yeah, this still looks an incredible coaster, and I would love to get out here one day to ride it. Coming in at 3rd place is Goliath at Six Flags Great America. Yes, this coaster is actually an RMC wooden coaster, and the first drop looks insane, especially if on the back row, but the rest of the ride just looks a bit dull. It doesn't look that good. It's got a couple of airtime moments that's pretty good, but obviously it's an RMC and you can never go wrong with RMC coasters, so yeah, this will still be an incredible ride, but it just doesn't look like it's going to be one of the best RMCs, because it does actually look very, very short, because you go right over into an overbank, and then you have a massive airtime hill, and then you've actually got a dive loop, which is very, very cool actually, and then you go up into one of their famous zero-G stalls, which look amazing, and then you got a couple more turns, and then you go straight into the brakes, so it doesn't actually look as long as Steel Vengeance. It's nowhere near as long as coasters like that, but yeah, it still looks a pretty good coaster, and I would love to get out to Six Flags Great America to ride it one day. The theming also looks quite good as well, so yeah, it just looks like a pretty good coaster, and especially how the height and the first drop is pretty much the main point of this coaster. Coming in at 2nd place is the world famous El Toro. Yes, this is actually located at Six Flags Great Adventure, and this coaster is praised for being one of the best wooden coasters in the world, if probably the best coaster in the world, which is actually made out of wood. And again, this is another Intamin prefabricated coaster, and this one just looks insane. You start off with a really fast lifter, go under a complete 90-degree turn, and obviously you get that massive view of the tallest coaster in the world, which is actually Kinder Car, and then you go down, I believe, like a 75-degree drop, and yeah, this is really steep, especially from the back row, and then you go up into 2 camelbacks, you go into a nice turn, and then you go obviously into that amazing airtime hill about halfway through the ride, into those different turns as well. This coaster just looks insane. El Toro is definitely right at the top of my bucket list at the moment, along with Fury 325 and Steel Vengeance. But yeah, so obviously this coaster, I wouldn't say there's really a bad part. Well, I've never actually been there, but looking at this coaster, I wouldn't say there's actually a bad part of it. The whole ride just looks insane. Also, the restraints look pretty good, and this, I believe, sort of has like a Mexican Spanish theme in a way. I'm not overly sure about this, but yeah, obviously it's got that massive ball head head on the front, which looks absolutely amazing. This coaster just looks insane. Coming in at first place is Wildfire at Kolmarden and also T-Express at South Korea's Everland. Yes, these both coasters look absolutely insane. If we talk about Wildfire for a minute, this coaster starts off with a 90-degree drop, and this looks absolutely amazing. It's built by RMC, and yeah, this is sort of based on a little bit of a hillside, and then the views from this are absolutely insane. They're amazing, the views from here, because obviously Kolmarden's actually a zoo, and they just went out to build a massive RMC, which is actually pretty funny actually, that they just went and built a massive RMC just in the middle of a zoo. So there's not really any other standout coasters at this park. This is pretty much the only big coaster at this park actually. But yeah, this is actually mainly focused on a zoo, and this zoo looks absolutely beautiful. But yeah, obviously there is actually another park, which is T-Express, and this is located at South Korea's Everland. And yeah, Everland looks an incredible park. It does actually have some of the best coasters in the world. T-Express definitely looks the best of the lot, and yeah, this is again based on a massive hillside, and these are probably why these are the tallest wooden coasters in the world. But yeah, this goes down obviously 183 like feet drop, and yeah, you got loads of airtime moments, and this is actually again built by Intamin. It's a prefabricated coaster, and this is the last one they've built. So these both coasters look insane. I would love to get to both of these one day. So just before we end this video, I do actually want to talk about one coaster that didn't make this list, and the reason why it didn't make it isn't because it's not actually tall enough, it's actually because it got removed from the park, and this is obviously Son of Beast at Kings Island. Yes, this was actually a wooden coaster, which was the first one to go above 200 feet, so yes, this was actually a hyper coaster, and there has been no other wooden coasters since which have got to the 200 feet mark, but yes, this one was the only one in the world that has ever cracked the 200 feet mark, and this had an inversion. A lot of people said it wasn't a very good coaster, but I just wanted to quickly mention this coaster because it still looks incredible. But yeah, at least Kings Island have still got the Beast, which I will actually feature in another video pretty soon. But yeah, obviously I really do hope you've enjoyed this video here on TPC. I honestly cannot wait until the theme parks open again. I believe some California parks have opened, the Florida and Texas parks have obviously opened, but yeah, I think only a couple of the California parks are open, not all of them. But obviously the theme parks in the UK opens on the 12th, so yeah, I'm very excited to get back to them, and there'll be a lot of videos on them as well in the near future. But yeah, that wraps up this video here on TPC, and goodbye.